What my goal is for you when you leave here is you have a broader understanding of how you learn and how these skills of what we're going to practice apply to protecting yourself. These aren't competition skills, although being able to shoot rapidly, accurately while moving, while advancing or retreating on a target, while possibly being in a diminished position like on your knees or back, that seems like it could be useful in competition or in life. This isn't a marksmanship class, but we will work on shooting things as small as a target paster, a little 3/4 inch paster. But it's not a marksmanship class. So I will give you insights into how to draw, how to reholster safely, how to grip your gun. Possibly we'll talk techniques on reloading, but not a ton. We'll talk techniques on sight picture and when you need it, when you don't. We'll talk about point shooting, of course shooting and moving and shooting from those diminished positions. And the lessons that we'll have on those individual topics is so that if you're really, if your grip is something screwy, we can at least get you doing reps where your hands are correct. You get what I'm saying? If you're reloading the gun and you've got like some weird shit you gotta do, we're gonna square it away, but this is not a class on that basic stuff. We're dealing with tools that kill, not only others, but ourselves. And I think sometimes when we're on the range playing around, and this isn't even about safety, what I'm talking about, because that's should go without saying that whatever we're doing here, we should be safe. I think sometimes we forget the context of things. I leave the house in the morning, I remind myself, this is a weapon that can take life. A father, a husband, a brother, a son. If I shoot somebody, that's pretty serious shit. As such, the way that it's on my body, there's a reason for it. I've taken a bunch of stuff out of my pockets to prepare for class, but how you carry your magazines, there should be a very good reason for that. So when we see all you guys gear up, it's not to make fun of you. I might say, hey, why do you have your gear like that? And it's not, why is it? It's like, let's talk about it. Why I'm asking about like if you've done this before is because there is some etiquette to training. We're not at a needlepoint class. We're not at how to frickin' work Microsoft Windows. We can die by what we're doing. We'll fire 13, 14, 15,000 rounds of ammo on the range. That's a lot of opportunities to get shot or hurt, to shoot yourself or somebody else, you have to do a lot of things really dumb. You gotta have a loaded gun, point it at somebody, and pull the trigger. See, there's like a cascade of stupidity that has to happen. We're not gonna go deep into the weeds on that, because that's really it. Don't point it at anything that doesn't need a hole in it. And we'll talk about this as we go through the day, we don't point a gun at our own body to holster. So if I've got a holster right here, for me to take this gun out, there's no reason for my hand to be anywhere in front of, around, or near. You know what I mean? This is totally inert, so if I point it at you, it's probably on purpose. It's not a real gun in any way, shape, or form. So when we talk about finger off the trigger, that's not here. It's not here, it's not like in or around, it's up here. The floors in this building are concrete. If I shot a gun right here, you guys would be unhappy with that. There'd be spall and concrete that would go out and catch our legs. So in the context of this building, the really safe spot is into the lead trap, which here is a cascade of rubber. And that's like the only safe spot. Contextually, it's the only safe spot if nobody's between you and the trap. So if David is the trap and Dwight's between me and the trap, Dwight would not be happy if I was holding my gun like this. You tracking? So we may have to change the muzzle direction. Yes? We need to be very intentional, not only in how the gear is on our body, how we manipulate the gear. If I don't have consistency in my grip or a process in how I load or unload, what do we expect to do under stress or duress? We need to be able to analyze what we're doing. If our ego gets in the way, you're not going to get better. If our fear of what other people in the room are thinking, that's not going to make us get any better. You know what I mean? So this awareness of what we're thinking, how we're thinking, some of you may get adrenalized. That's okay if you get adrenalized. I had a two guys in the last class and one in the class before that had such a deep adrenaline response to being on the firing line with people watching. One of them looked like he was squeezing a wet rag, the sweat pouring down out of the, I had to go get him a towel to keep drying his hands off. I can't fix that, you know, his papa beat him or some shit and he had a very intense response to fear. I'm serious. But the thing about that is, so we'll talk about that tomorrow a little bit, but today, if you're the kind of guy that has a stress response like that, that's cool. You're not gonna change that. You can change how you react to it. Part of that's the way you were wired when you were created. Part of it's the stimulus that happened to you through your formative years of life. But it's okay. Adrenaline's pretty cool. It's a little superhuman dose of juice for a short while. Too many people talk about how do I overcome it. I don't want to overcome it. I want it. I want to be juiced up. I want my heart to speed up and start pumping blood rapidly through my body. I want to be able to punch people and not feel my hand break. I want to be able to flip chairs over and climb on top of people and tear their scalp off. You know what I mean? Who's ever heard of Coach Lou Holtz? Coach Holtz? So Coach Holtz had an acronym, WIN, what's important now? And I'm not even a football fan, but the business world picked this up and it's been used through business. And it's you know, triage with a patient or a business situation or on the range with a gun or fighting, what's important right now? If I'm on the range, what's important now? Got my eye and ear protection on, good master grip, go through my loading process, safely holster, what's important now? Pay attention to the range commander, whatever. You see my point? I'm pressing the gun out to get an accurate shot. What's important? A good grip, good body posture, slack out of the trigger, press. You get what I'm saying? Rather than, okay, I'm gonna do a good job, boom. You know what I mean? Now at some point, if you pay attention to what's important through each step, this becomes automatic. And that's where we're going. We want automaticity in these mechanical functions. You all tracking with what I mean by that? We want that to become automatic, not I automatically draw and shoot people. The skill of how to do it is automatic, just like how we can pull our cell phone out and around with it. You're not paying attention to where your fingers go, they just go. You pick up your remote control. Most of us can navigate our remote control in the dark, drinking beer, right? Wife's asleep. Let's see what's on Showtime up all night, right? Right? You get in your car, you don't tell yourself, how do I put my key in? You grab them out of your pocket, your hand figures it out. You know what I mean? That's where we want to be with the gun handling skills so that the front part of our brain can think about, where's he at? Do I need to shoot him again? Is he down? Does he have any friends? Yeah? Understand? Yes? Am I bleeding? Where's my wife? If we're too fixated on, am I holding it right? Oh shit, I hope I'm gonna do it. You're definitely not thinking about winning.
In the class, I mean, if you're out in the real world, you want to be able to draw as soon as your pistol clears the holster. I mean, like here, be in a firing position and be ready to fire in case somebody's right on top of you.
Yes and no, but go ahead.
But, so I guess that's part of the question, man.
I mean, like, what if you were the bad guy and I was in the convenience store and I saw you and, yeah, man, this is now a potato chip rack. Yes, sir, please don't hurt me. I mean, this would be completely different. Yeah, man, you can have my wallet. You don't always have to draw your gun and point it and be ready to shoot. That wasn't your question, but I wanted to address that. Every time we draw our gun, if I find you in my backyard, I might walk out and say, hey man, what are you doing here?
Right.
I'm not gonna just, what are you doing here, be ready to shoot you. Go ahead.
I guess I'm talking about if I'm training, you know, and especially in a group, I've got to do it safely. So I'm not going to want to put my finger on the trigger when I'm...
Definitely not.
I don't want to do that here.
No,
so
you shouldn't do that anywhere. I mean, that's
like I said, if there's somebody 5 feet away from me, I'm going to have to shoot from here. I can't wait till I get up.
Well, that's the difference, though. It's context.
That's what I'm asking about, context. So how do I, if I'm training for safety in groups...
You're not training for safety. You're training for a result, doing it safely. So context, if you are a target out on that range and I say draw and hit it from the hip, then the context would be draw, put your finger on the trigger and hit it from the hip. There's no always. I never always point my gun down range. I never always put my finger on the trigger. I never always have my finger off the trigger.
I guess my biggest fear is if I ever get in a defensive situation where it's just they're right on top of me, that I want to practice enough in that situation to keep from shooting myself.
We'll go deep into that. So don't point the gun at yourself. There's no draw stroke that should ever have you pointing a gun at yourself. And there's no draw stroke that should have you putting your finger on the trigger until it's safely away from your body. So you're just, when we're practicing here, now you just let me know I need to watch you like a hawk. So much for a fun, easy day, Dwight. Thank you. We'll go into that. We'll go into that. We're going to continue to pound safety. If you didn't understand what I just said to Dwight, I'm going to say it again. We're not training to be safe. We're training to shoot people with guns while doing it safely. See the difference, right? Training it to be safe is unload this, lock it up. Done. We've achieved our goal, right? That's completely different than us being able to move around in spaces and places. To Dwight's question, always? Well, I always point the gun down until you're my little kid and we're in a mall shooting. What would you probably do? You'd probably grab my leg if you're a little 5-year-old. So now is this safe? No. So now maybe I have to do this. Come on, Timmy, Dad's taking you home. Yeah, everything is situationally dependent. How do I look in this dress? Who's got a girlfriend or a wife? You better be damn careful how you respond to such a question, right? Situation dictates tactics. Who understands the legal and justified use of force? This is different state by state, but anywhere in the United States, no matter where you're at, be it New York or California or Massachusetts or Jersey even, or the great state of Texas or Oklahoma, every state in our union, every living creature, human, has a right to self-defense, has a right to protect themselves. They differ state by state in how one can levy that defense, but there's no place it's illegal to protect yourself. The difference between perception and reality can be a prison sentence. What gives you the right to apply deadly force and when is it justified? You must be able to articulate that you are in danger of death or great bodily harm. I like when there's like a little girl in the class, like the little girl that took our money out there. If her and I got into an argument and she walked up and slapped me, you son of a bitch, and hit me, are you falling asleep or you just got stoner eyes?
No, that's the way my eyes are.
You look like you're high as a kite all the time?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's a family thing.
I was just wondering, I'm like, this guy's sleeping? I've got some cold brew in the cooler. If I walked up and just slapped her ass, vice versa. She slapped me, and I was like, oh, and I just lit her up over like a parking space or something, you know? Or I tried to buy her a drink. If I wasn't married, and she was like, get away, creep, and hit me, and I lit her up, and the cops came, and I'm like, look, man, I tried to buy this girl a drink, she hit me, and I understand how force works. I have had dental work. I can't afford to get my teeth fixed if she broke a tooth. I felt my brain rattle. I know how concussions work, and the more concussions I have, the worse off it is, and I've had several concussions. I can't risk that. I didn't know what she was going to do. She snapped and hit me. How do I know she wasn't going to pick a bottle up? I ended it right there. I wasn't going to risk getting my brain rattled. If you were the gentleman on the jury, how would you view that? You saw that little girl.
Doesn't hold up.
Yeah, you'd probably be like, this guy's nuts. Conversely, her and I are in a parking lot or in that same bar. Hey, babe, can I buy you a drink? I'm with my boyfriend. He's in the bathroom. Get away. Boom! If I hit her like that, boom! She'd go all the way to the wall. She shot me. What would you same jury. So, disparity of force. But even then, even if there's not, that disparity of force is an important thing, but just looking at the context of the situation, hey babe, sorry you got a bad day, you know, that's the end of it. Was she right? I don't know, but that is that articulation, and the thing about that is the jury, you don't know who's on there. Shouldn't even be in bars. You're down in the South where, it's run by the Southern Baptists. Well, why were you at a bar to begin with, sir? Wouldn't have happened if you weren't out drinking. Get what I'm saying? So you don't know who's on the jury. We're not shooting to kill, we're shooting to stop. We're not shooting to kill, we're shooting to stop. Well, you showed us to shoot 20 times into somebody's face. Intention is to make them stop. My intention is not to kill them, although I am understanding that this could kill them. My goal is not to kill them, it is to make them stop whatever action they are directing to me that's making me have to use deadly force. You see the difference? Very specific. And I'm not talking about, there's a lot of people that teach cute isms to play the lead, say this, do this. That's not what I'm talking about. This very much should be the intention in your heart before you shoot somebody. I don't want to kill Chet. I want to stop Chet. I don't want to kill you at all. But you get the point.
So now if you shoot to stop and they come back and sue you, what's the point?
So let's go back. First of all, who is they that's suing you? The family of the person that you shot?
Right. Now, if you have someone that comes up on you and they pull a gun, pull a firearm on you, and you end up shooting them, but you don't kill them, and they turn around and they sue you.
Okay, let's go back a minute. You must be able to articulate that you were in danger of death or great bodily harm. If I was not in danger of death or great bodily harm, I should not have shot them. If I was, you had better be justified if you shoot somebody. You were justified in that situation. You felt somebody's pointing a gun at me, I need to shoot them. Whether they die or not, you were justified. That said, be justified and righteous in your actions, and then the defense part's pretty easy. You will win the defense with your prosecutor. You may very well get sued by his family or her family or whatever, which is still not as common as people think. That's like a big concealed carry, gun dork, internet chat room circle jerk where people constantly, oh, you get shot, you shoot somebody, you're gonna end up losing everything you own. That happens, but very rarely. And usually there's you look at the totality of the incident, you're like, well, that guy was a why didn't he leave? This just happened the other day in Michigan, I believe. Or no, was it Ohio? Doesn't matter. It was Pennsylvania. Dude drives fast up and down this country road. Guy gets pissed. Retired guy. Gets liquored. The driver's got his 4-year-old, 3-year-old daughter in the back seat. Guy unloads buckshot into his car as he's driving by. I was sick of him speeding. One round went through a bunch of stuff and hit the little girl in the leg. She was okay, but the guy was drunk. He admitted to having like a bunch of like rum and cokes for breakfast or something. But in his mind, he's speeding. I'm going to stop him. So you see these scenarios, and when you really look at them, it's like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? There's almost, when it's like cut and dry, they broke in my home, smashed the front door down. That homeowner doesn't go to jail. Just had one in New York, and people like in the gun community repost it because it looks good. New York resident defends himself with gun, arrested on felony charges. Wasn't arrested for defending himself with a gun. He was arrested because he illegally owned the gun. And nobody talks about that. Well, that shouldn't be illegal. Well, don't live in New York or change the laws. But he wasn't arrested. 2 people came into his house, he warned them, he shot them. So we are reasonable people. We are trying to train ourselves to be better so that we know what's right, we know what's wrong, we know what we're capable of. Why it's important later in this training is we can't assume that who's trying to rape us, take our life, break into our home, hurt our family is also reasonable. You know what I mean? I'll point a gun at him, he'll stop. Who's heard this? That'll send him running. They've already decided to break into people's homes, right? Or whatever the context is. So that's our foolish, reasonable man brain. Not foolish, but conditioned. This scares me, thus it must scare him. You know what I mean? So there's 2 sides of that. What were you going to say?
So in that same video, you said something that really stuck to me is the fact that not everybody thinks like, with that sense of reason. Some people will beat you because they disagree with you, or they think that, like you said, taxation is theft, or freedom means unregulation.
Yeah, 43 murders a day, 247 rapes, 896 robberies, 3,281 violent crimes. This is a couple-year-old stat, but it's pretty standard. 43 murders. Interesting thing about that, a lot of experts think that the number is probably 3 times that. And those people are just folks you never knew about, folks that you didn't look for. The homeless guy that just one day wasn't on the street corner because some dude who got off smoking homeless people. There's a lot of people that go missing. And you know, when we joke around, oh man, if life ever got that bad, I'd just clear out the checking account and head to Mexico and sell coffee on the beach. People that have the ability to clear out the checking account and go to Mexico and just sell coffee on the beach don't do that. The people that just disappear don't have anything else. Nobody misses them. There's a lot of people murdered that are rotting in ditches. Michigan, they just found a 5-year-old skull. The guy went missing 5 years ago. Asian dude, him and his girlfriend were selling sex on Craigslist. She was pregnant. A pregnant girl. Pretty cool. The dude that hired them, they drove to his house. They didn't know that this guy wasn't just into pregnant girls. Dude had a torture chamber, which was a dog kennel with all kinds of devices where he tortured them, killed them, shot this dude, cut his head off, and they found his sun-bleached skull 5 years later. Nobody missed him. You know, there was not some manhunt. It ain't like the Netflix shows where there's guys out there dusting shit and blue lights. They forgot all about him. Very successful businessman. Owned like a high-end alarm company, did alarms for like the rich and famous and really high-end security systems. It sounds like a movie. The story was this guy secretly, every one of his customers, he would leave a back door into the house for him to defeat the alarm. And he would go in years later. And he got off on this. He would go in years later because if you did an alarm and then a week later the house got robbed, the cops are going to immediately come look at the alarm company employees, right? So years later, he would let himself in and take a painting, take a whatever. And that's how he got his rocks off, just stealing rich people's shit. One day he sets up on this house where he lets himself in and he's taking whatever he's going to take. Maybe he makes a sandwich. I don't know, but this guy he was a millionaire. He had money. He would break into rich people's house and steal their shit though. As he's there, he realizes that the homeowner who he thought had left was asleep on the couch. What do you think he did? What do you think he did? Doc, what do you think he did? What did he do? What do you think he did? Killed him? Well, not yet. He skinned him alive. The family comes home to him peeling the flesh off of their loved one. The investigators said, why did you do that? You know what he said? You wouldn't pass up an opportunity like that. That doesn't come along every day. That's a different type of human. That guy doesn't give a that you pointed a gun at him or told him to back off. That guy is the predator. He skinned him alive. This seems like a good idea. Never done that. I want to add that to the old memory bank.
What's that Christian Bale movie, American Psycho?
Yeah.
As a practitioner, every decision you make in training your gear, you should ask yourself, what problem does this solve? Buy a new holster, you buy new sights, you buy new ammo, you get a new gun. Look, I'm sure every one of us here owns a bunch of stuff that we don't need, right? But if it's the gun you're gonna carry, if you're gonna train with it, why am I doing this? Why do I have it? What problem does it solve? You tracking? Depending on the research you read, and we're almost done with this, you'll find about 40% of violent attacks involve more than one person, more than one attacker. Fighting one person's bad, multiple people is exponentially worse. It's not one guy, two guys, twice as bad. It's way more bad. Way more bad, because if you get knocked down, if your attention's taken away, you're very easy to fight one person, even if they're skilled. It's not very easy to fight two people, even if you're very skilled and they're not. All it takes is your attention to be gone. Let's go back 2 pages this doesn't mean that we're going back, but I want you to read this again. To legal and justified use of force. You must be able to articulate you are in danger of death or great bodily harm. This is a big misconception that this I'm using the word retarded, not insulting somebody that is born a certain way, retarded as in backwards, not fully developed, this retarded, I'm using dictionary.
Lack of comprehension.
This retarded gun community, and I'm not saying you're retarded because you hear it enough. It's a retarded notion. If I need to shoot you, I need to shoot you. If I have a trigger that makes the gun shoot more accurately, that did not change the dynamics that you were trying to hurt me. Oh, guy has a trigger in his gun.
That's what I think.
It's stupid. Now, what happens though, when you see these cases, the back plate said, shoot them all, let God sort them out. And so the prosecutor saw that, and then they dug into your social media. Guys write shit like, just passed a trucker, if that guy flicks me off again, I'm gonna follow him to the next truck stop. Like, are you stupid? So people see this and it shows that you have a like for violence, you know? That's what gets people in trouble. Justified is justified. Are you guys gonna be like Chatty Cathy the whole time? Do I have to separate you? No. Get your gear. Do not take any guns or anything out of cases. We're in this bay. Eye, ear, ammo. I'm gonna take a whiz. My gear's already on the range. Go get everything. Come right back to the range bay here. Don't take any guns out. We're gonna run through some assessment drills. So just so you know what's gonna happen, the next hour, we're gonna figure out where everybody's at.